Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. He won the Heisman Trophy Award back in 2021 and is coming off a little bit of a down year. And I don't really think it's all on Young. I think for the first time in, man, it feels like 10 years, the Alabama Crimson Tide did not have an absolutely stacked roster at the wide receiver position. When you talk to a lot of NFL scouts out there, realistically, the only thing that they're going to knock this kid on is his size. Is he undersized? No doubt about it. But Lance Zierlein of NFL.com has comped him to Drew Brees, another quarterback that, sure, was undersized, but mentally, and the thing that I love about Young is his mental preparation to the game. When you look at a lot of quarterbacks, you can look at the big arm, you can look at the athletic ability, but I do think that there is something about a QB being able to lead a group of men down the field when it matters the most, being able to be in that huddle, and every single guy, all 10 eyes are on you, and they know that there is a common goal. Bryce Young gives me that. I'm not going to say it because I don't know if he's going to be Joe Burrow, but he gives me that like Joe Burrow cool. He gives me that Tom Brady cool, calm, and collectiveness where nothing rattles this dude. And the only thing that people are going to hit him on is the size. 6 foot, that might be generous, 194 pounds. But at the end of the day, this guy is a baller. And if he was 6'2", 6'3", 225, he would be the clear number one overall pick, and I don't know if it's all that close. This past season, 64.5% completion percentage, 3,328 yards. He did battle a few injuries, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was the Sugar Bowl MVP. I mean, when it matters the most, when the lights are on, he was still playing. There were a lot of people that told him, this game doesn't mean anything. You don't need to play in that one in terms of Pro Bowl or the bowl games. You see big-time players that have a chance to go 1, 2, hell, top 10, they end up sitting out. Bryce Young did not do that, and if I'm an NFL team, I love that. From a career standpoint, in his 27 starts with the Crimson Tide, he had a 65.8% completion percentage, 8,358 yards, 80 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And the SEC, and basically any Power 5 school, very impressive numbers. In terms of where could he potentially go, you're going to find out that, guess what, when you're this good, it's going to be, if you want to get him, you got to get him early. I think the Carolina Panthers, the Houston Texans are the top 2 teams. Why? Carolina traded all the way up from 9 with the Chicago Bears to go up to 1. That tells you one thing. Then you got the Houston Texans. Then there's the Indianapolis Colts at 4. They always seem to be interested in quarterbacks. The Las Vegas Raiders, they moved on from Derek Carr. Sure, they have Jimmy Garoppolo, but there's been reports around there. And then the Atlanta Falcons, if they don't want Lamar Jackson, I get it. But I do think if some crazy world were to happen where Bryce Young falls because of his size, or if Atlanta's sitting there like, well, shit, he fell down to 3, let's trade up with the Arizona Cardinals. There's reports out there that Arizona is willing to trade back. All I'm saying is if you want Bryce Young, you're going to have to take him at 1 or 2. So what I want you to do right now is go down in the comments and predict, where is Bryce Young going to be playing football in 2023? Many people view him as the number 1 quarterback prospect. There's going to be some teams that knock him due to size. I want to know right now, where is Bryce Young going to be playing football this upcoming season? Bryce Young is going to be lacing up the cleats and putting on the shoulder pads. Where? In Houston. Yes, I believe he's going to be the starting quarterback this upcoming season for the Texans. To me, he's going to be the best quarterback on the board when Houston picks. And maybe that's a spoiler of where I think some other QBs might end up going in terms of Carolina. But the Texans, they have 12 picks overall in the draft. They also have the 2nd pick, and they have the number 12 pick. DeMeco Ryans got 6 years and needs a franchise quarterback. No disrespect to Davis Mills. It's not a franchise quarterback. And if I'm DeMeco Ryans, I'm going to look straight at Nick Caserio and say, this kid's good. I didn't come here to be good. Let's get Houston to great. And the only way you're going to get to great is if you take a young quarterback. And I believe that young man is Bryce Young, a young man who can really do the right things. Because the last time they had a franchise quarterback in Houston, let's face it, he messed up. The guy who I am most confident in not messing up, his name is Bryce Young. NFL fans, I don't want you to miss out. If you're looking for the best NFL draft content on YouTube, I want you to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Whether you're looking for analysis on Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, if you're looking for more mock drafts, heck, We even have player interviews that we got at the Combine. If you're a die-hard fan in terms of NFL draft content, I want you to hit that big old red button that says subscribe. So now let's talk about the top 4 draft quarterback prospects out there. You have Bryce Young from Alabama, which many people regard him as being the number 1 quarterback in this year's class. Then you have C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. Depending on who you talk to, some teams are worried about because he's played at a friendly Ohio State system. Other teams look at him as being a very pro-ready QB. Will Levis, an athletic freak, great arm talent, 24 years old. But if you're looking to take upside, would you just take Anthony Richardson from Florida, who is a few years younger? When you look at their numbers from their past season, Bryce Young, 64.5% completion percentage, 3,328 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You compare that to C.J. Stroud, and Stroud beats him out in completion percentage, beats him out in yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Though I'd make the argument that Ohio State had a lot more talent offensively than the Crimson Tide did this past season. And now you go over to some more teams in the SEC with Will Levis, who completion percentage is solid, yards a little bit lower, but teams aren't drafting him based on his production. They're basing it off of what his upside is. And if you want to talk about upside, then you got to talk about Anthony Richardson. 53.8% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he also had close to 650 rushing yards. So my question to you is this. I believe that there is a consensus top 4 quarterbacks in the 2023 NFL Draft. What I want to know from all of you, because this is what we do here at Chat Sports, who's the best one? If it's Bryce Young, type BY. If it's C.J. Stroud, type CJ. What about Anthony Richardson, AR? If you think it's Will Levis, then type WL. I do think different people are going to answer that question very differently. If you're an NFL GM, if you're a scout, if you and me were sitting on the couch looking at these guys' tape, I think if you want the player who has got the highest floor, that's Bryce Young. If you were to say, Mitch, you got to bet your entire house on which quarterback prospect you think is not going to bust, I'll say Bryce Young, because to me, mentally, he's the sharpest one out of those other players. If you're telling me, okay, who do you think is actually the most pro-ready? Well, that'll actually go with C.J. Stroud. Playing at Ohio State does scare some people, though. I look at the arm strength, I look at the accuracy, I look at the height, the weight. The biggest thing that scares me with Bryce Young is his size. If he was bigger, he'd be the number 1 player. With Stroud, you have all the things that NFL teams look for in that prototypical quarterback. He's got great production. Yes, he's played on great teams, but the most pro-ready guy, in my opinion, is C.J. Stroud. If you're an NFL scout that says, all right, I want a player who's got the strongest arm, I can work with everything else. I can make his mechanics better. I can get his footwork down. He didn't have the best team all around him at Kentucky. If you're looking for strongest arm, I'm going to go with Will Levis because to me, I've seen a lot of strong arm quarterbacks. If you're an NFL GM and you're like, man, what the Buffalo's Bills did with Josh Allen, they were patient. They waited with him. If you think you can do that and you can find yourself another Josh Allen, I think you're crazy not to. The question is, though, can you actually make Will Levis Josh Allen? And then the final player here, it's Anthony Richardson. If you want the most athletic quarterback in this year's class, and you're going to build your offense around him, because if I'm building an offense, that's going to be a run-first offense. Good luck trying to stop a running back and Anthony Richardson. You're going to look at the completion percentage, and it's going to scare a lot of people. Go look at the pro day. Go look at the NFL Combine. Imagine if he actually had some better talent around him on offense, better offensive play calling. And if you give him a year to mature, there's not many quarterbacks that I can say can be top 3, top 5. Richardson does have that upside. He definitely also, though, should scare the hell out of people because he could be out of the league in 2 or 3 years. Now, also, friendly reminder here. I want you to subscribe to Chat Sports. This is our main channel. Over 330,000 subscribers over there. We go live every single year for the NFL Draft. We get the picks before you see them on TV. Hell, there's sometimes we're 2, 3, 4 picks ahead of what you see on television. We've been the number 1 most watched draft coverage for 5 straight years. I'm going to prove to you again why we're going to be that. So go subscribe at the link that you see below, youtube.com/chatsportstv.